that all you got?
Guys all warm?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
All right. Danny, you got your lift. Joseph got the circuits and sprints. You're done. Just knock it out.
So what do you got going on here today? You got Danny Castillo.
Two different things, yeah. Danny's lifting.
Joseph Benavidez over here as well.
So today he's kind of combining. We lift Tuesday, Friday. He's combining the two. He wasn't around Tuesday. He was out of town. So he did sumo deadlifts right here. He's just doing lunges, just some single leg work and a push up. And then he has like a total of 6 things to do today.
So he's doing, each guy's doing kind of like a circuit?
Yeah, he's got pairs, exercises. Joseph's in a little bit of a circuit. Just kind of get him going. More of a, I don't know, I guess it would be just a really light circuit with some core stuff.
We'll just call it CrossFit.
Yeah.
Just to simplify it. Any combined exercising is
more of
CrossFit.
core activation, trying to get his shoulders healthy, his glutes going, everything kind of working right. And then just some like light reactive work so his heart rate makes him think that he's doing some type of work.
Just trying to get these guys moving around.
Right now he's probably got, his conditioning's through the roof, so they can take on a ton of work. So.
Yeah, he's got a fight like just
2 weeks.
A couple days, right?
2 weeks, yeah. 2 weeks away from this weekend. So he's recovering. We'll have an option at the end of, this is kind of the last time I'll see him.
So when you come down to the end here with training, it's not like he's coming in doing heavy squats, bench, deadlift, that kind of stuff.
They do.
They still do some of that.
We work towards like peaking them, and everything's. You want to be explosive for 5 minutes,
right?
But we don't. Obviously, I'm not doing anything with them for 5 minutes, but they're. I don't. The closer they get to the fight, the more they're doing the like reactive work, jumping. Heavy singles type stuff where they're doing dynamic work.
I gotcha.
Instead of a ton of volume and adding a lot of stress. I don't get a lot of time with them, so you always want them to be explosive, right, leading up to the fight.
Right.
You don't ever want to ditch that type of stuff.
Right. You still want to be at their strongest when they go into the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And the single leg stuff that you had Danny doing over here, like the lunges. And what are you using that kind of thing for?
The Tuesday, we've been going for a while now. So Tuesday, I usually use a higher intensity, meaning they're going to get a little more strength stuff. It's going to probably be a little more intense on the CNS. And then Friday, they'll get more volume stuff where they're not going to be able to load it up with big weights, but they'll do more reps. And it's kind of like a bulletproof.
Is an exercise like this, just a lunge, is it like a favorite of yours, like somebody's?
No, we use a ton of stuff with him. He's kind of heading into a camp.
Okay.
And then I want to try to use, you can do heavy stuff with single leg work. So like I was talking about, like sometimes you do like a heavy leg squat. When you progress towards the camp, you want to be explosive. Most sports happen on one leg when you're throwing this from one foot to another. So they tend to keep them healthy. It takes a lot of risk out of it.
How long is he jumping rope here for?
3 minutes.
Okay.
He'll go for 20 minutes without stopping if he wants to.
I just jumped rope 20 minutes earlier. After some grappling rounds. Just keep the sweat going.
It's plyometric and it's aerobic, so it's more of a recovery drill for these guys than it is. Like me and you would be breathing heavy with these guys.
It's good for me because after grappling this more, all I'm doing is squeezing.
Right.
Holding on to people, headlocking them. It's a nice little cool down after.
This teaches you to relax a little bit. Like when you're doing this kind of stuff, are you thinking about like your fight, or are you just kind of chilling and just jumping rope?
Yeah, it's nice with that, because like a run or like a jump rope.
Right.
Because it's just it's pretty much mindless.
Right.
Where if you're grappling someone, you have to think about what the hell they're doing.
Right.
Or punching them or whatever. Like this is just mindless. Visualize.
Right.
Stuff like that, because it's just.
Maybe visualize some of the stuff you went over with in your camp to defeat the guy that you're fighting, right?
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
It's a low intensity and it'll transfer over to fighting because you're using your feet, you're bouncing on your toes.
Right.
People don't think of it as like a plyometric, but that's what it is.
A lot of the footwork he's using right there is stuff he's going to use in the ring, right?
Yeah.
Looking like goddamn Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's nice, like hands and feet working together.
Right.
Because like one thing you never want to do in a fight also is just be flat-footed. Once you stop, you're a stationary target.
Right.
You're sitting down on your punches, and then your back are moving and bouncing around.
In and out. You never want to be just stationary.
Right.
So.
Something like this is kind of hitting the core.
Yeah, so it's just an anti-rotation core exercise. he's fighting the pull, the resistance, so his left obliques try to stabilize. Get his glutes going.
About how long do you have these guys train for, and like how many times a week is it?
They go 2 to 3 days a week, depending on the closer they get to the fight, the less they train. With me, the more everything's really specific.
Right.
But like this stuff is more of like it would almost be more of a recovery workout.
Right.
You and I don't think of it like that, but it's aerobic. They're just kind of getting things turned on that they might not be using in the gym, or that might be working wrong from whatever type of drilling they're doing over there.
60-minute workout, 90-minute workout with the warm-up?
No, usually like once we get moving, I get them. He did a lot of foam rolling, get their lats open, the shoulder, the T-spine. This will probably take 20 minutes.
Not that
the
long.
biggest thing is the jumping rope.
You got him banging out some push-ups in between.
Yeah. I always do like a lot of pairs or triceps.
Got a good sweat going. Yeah.
It's actually with guys, they don't like to rest. Like you and I will take 3 to 5 minutes between the set because we're trying to go for a weight. These guys are like, they recover really fast because they have such a big base of conditioning.
Are you going to pick the exercises on like a tricep or superset? Like, do you do antagonist or you just don't care? Just
We use both.
Keep moving?
It depends on where we're going towards. For Danny, these guys are going to do an antagonist. The push-up's really just like a core exercise for me, and you get some scap mobility and the single leg stuff. So that won't take away from his lunge.
Yeah. You think the lunge?
It's hard, yeah. But
lunge is the main movement.
And then else, you could have did like something for your shoulders, a rotator cuff exercise, or
a lot of times it's good to use exercise in between that aren't related to each other, so you can keep them moving, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you and I don't have a problem sitting down for 5 minutes and hanging out, but they're like they want to go, you know.
Yeah.
So we just use the time to fill in any kind of gaps that we may have.
It
depends on the person too.
Yeah.
You first started working with these guys, and you'd have them do something, and you're thinking, okay, I got to follow these like protocols, 3-minute rest in between sets. Were they just looking at you weird, like, come on, dude, like, you're supposed to
The only
coach
time
us.
that
What are
works
we
is
doing?
it works when there's a bunch of them, and then they're all talking, about their weekend or whatever.
What about the difference between the both of them? Danny's a little bit heavier, a little bit more muscle on him. You train him a little bit slower, or
A little bit more muscle. I like it. He's all perking
you
up
get
over
some
there.
longer rest periods. Are they kind of?
It could. It depends on the guys. Danny is a really good aerobic athlete, so he can recover really fast. He can also grind really hard.
Yeah. So more personal than actual weight class. More
Yeah,
personal.
the weight class
Just
doesn't really matter. Yeah, it depends on the goal too. So sometimes a guy might want to work on being faster or building more explosive based on their opponent. They might be standing, they might be on the ground where they need to be stronger. That's going to play into that. They ultimately call the shots because the game plan and whatever else is going on. But you also have to consider, if they got an elbow or a shoulder or their history and what it's going to look like 6 weeks from now.
When they do have like an injury, do you use barbells like that? Like say he's got a shoulder problem, you have him hop on a safety squat bar, helps take away the shoulder issue, right?
Yeah, completely. That's what I always do, especially when they're in camp. They don't ever really use a straight bar when they're in camp,
It's just too
because
tough to.
no reason to.
it's just to eliminate.
Yeah.
That's what those teams are for too.
They're getting their arms bent and pulled on, and their shoulders tweaked. And,
elbows and shoulders are important for these guys.
Yeah.
I know some people don't like to talk too much about like sports specific because some people are just like, oh, well, just get strong in the gym. But this looks very sports specific to taking someone down or getting away from someone taking you down, right?
Yeah. Well, it's single leg stability. Like I said, when these guys, when they shoot, it's always from one leg to another. They're always moving forward. So I mean, I wouldn't call it like it's just an exercise.
Yeah, right.
But it transfers over a lot.
Transfers
Any type
over
of
really
like
well.
single leg stuff. So
And this movement here he's doing,
that's a Spider-Man push-up. So push-ups, I always really just kind of like a really advanced plank. And this one, he's getting a ton of shoulder stability. His scapula's moving. He's squeezing them together, and then he's also getting his hip flexor going. There's just a ton of hip, core, shoulder stability all at once. Big bang for your buck.
and it's important, for these guys to be able to maintain like their mobility, right? It's a huge part of them getting in and out. Like someone like BJ Penn, you could take that guy's leg and like chuck it up over his head.
Yeah.
He's like a ninja.
Yeah.
It's hard to get that guy in a hold. So is it important? You got to try to get these guys to go through full range of motion and stuff like that?
Yeah, you always want to use, I think range of motion is like key.
Yeah.
The only time I don't really sweat these guys is when they're in a camp and they're doing like a squat or something. And then it has, for me, it tends to go towards the angle of what they're going to use it in their sport. That would be something I
Right.
consider like sports specific.
Yeah, risk
So like
reward.
below parallel for an MMA guy,
Right.
you know, when are you ever going to see him go below parallel? And I don't really have to say, hey, go below parallel. Usually they'll cut it short, even when the weights go up, and I'm okay with that because that's the angle that they're going to be applying. You know, when they're throwing a punch or
Right.
when they're getting ready to shoot. Sometimes they'll drop to a knee before the shot or whatever. But I guess that would probably be as a sports specific that I'd get. Is when I like kind of leave them a little wiggle room. You just have to, you know, when you have an athlete, you just kind of let them go.
Right.
And then you just,
Yeah.
it's more about like getting them not to do bad things than it is like trying to tell them exactly what to do.
Probably especially with these guys. Yeah, I mean, these guys are at the top of the sport. Maybe your younger guys, you got to be on them a little harder.
Yeah,
make sure they're
yeah.
not
The
messing.
younger guys, it's always about range of
Yeah.
motion because then you're just building a foundation.
Yeah, they don't know as
Yeah.
much. These guys have been with you, especially this year, been with you for a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
kind of know the system.
Yeah.
What's
They
it
get
like training some of these fighters? You know, like are these guys kind of willing to run through a wall for you type thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, within reason. I mean, I don't try to hurt them. That's
Right.
probably like where my biggest value to them is telling them what not to do versus telling them to do certain things. Anybody can kind of kill somebody or make them tired or whatever, but you just got to keep them so they can keep going.
In the beginning, 6 years ago, it wasn't like that. Now I think he adjusted
Experimental maybe in the
to
beginning.
us a little bit, but in the beginning, I feel like those workouts were so tough. But now we have more rest time. He's a lot smarter about our training.
What has
And
it done for you in the ring?
Man, I've never been in the cage and felt like anyone's stronger than me.
Oh, there you go. That's got to be a good feeling.
I mean, my height, I'm probably one of the smallest guys at 155 pounds. I'm still but I've never been in the cage where I'm just like, oh my God, this guy's really strong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, despite my height and
Right.
my arms and my reach, I still feel like one of the stronger guys.
That's got to feel good from a mental standpoint. You
Yeah,
lock up
yeah.
with someone, and if they feel stronger, then you might feel like you're defeated already, right?
One
Someone
less thing
grabs
to
your
worry
wrist
about.
and they're
Definitely. I mean,
There's been times when he's been like, the opponent's been like, he's too strong, I can't do something, when the coaches are telling him to do something.
right.
I think that was like a big thing for he realized.
Yeah, you're all
I think it was-
perking up. You're like, hey, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fucking
it was-
right.
yeah, I mean, it's good. I have total trust and confidence in everything he does, even though I'm just like, sometimes like, I don't know, but
Right.
I mean, he's never steered me wrong, and that's why I'm with him. I mean, you see a lot of fighters go from camp to camp or different coaches,
Right.
coaches. I mean, I'm here till I retire with him because, I mean, he started together, and now he's learned so much about
Right.
everything in general, not only MMA, but the sport. I mean, he even put on jiu-jitsu gi just to see exactly what we were doing, and he was rolling jiu-jitsu for a while.
Did he suck?
You can't really suck if you're as strong as he is.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
big.
it doesn't matter. The technique, you know, technique.
I went for like a week, and then
got some good
they're
leverage
all
on
like
Trick is finding someone to roll
145.
with this big ass.
Yeah, there's nobody to roll with me.
Maybe Mark.
There you go.
I did a little bit.
Jiu-jitsu? Yeah. I just relied on strength.
Learned a little bit from a
Fight
guy
of the
named
year.
Chris Gracie. I don't know if
to
you.
Next podcast.
Yeah, there you
Put
go.
some mats on.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I went to the Gracie Academy in the Southern California area like years and years and
Torrance,
years
I
ago.
think it is.
Torrance, yeah. Yeah, I just went for fun, just played around with it for a little while. It was a blast, but it was expensive as shit. So, you know, I did it for a couple weeks, but it was fun. It was interesting, you know. Just having guys that are weigh half your body weight just fucking you up is kind of demoralizing.
Yeah.
You're like, shit, man. Getting different holds.
Inverted rows with your feet on the box for the rings.
Okay.
And then not TRX triceps, rope triceps and ab wheel V's.
When the fuck did we get those?
Austin Bumgar.
We have rings in here? We're getting fancy.
8.
We're getting fancy.
Teammate of the year. You bought his birthday presents were gym gear.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's like, he came to Mark, like, what equipment you guys need? It's like, it's my birthday.
So a big part of your goal is like not to break them down, but make them feel better.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we talked about that a little
That's
bit.
that's what like when you think of strength training for sports, it's not my job isn't to like do anything wild and crazy for them. It's to let them do what they already do better, or
Right.
give them ability to do it more. You know, we don't look at it that way, but them being able to be a better fighter for a long period of time is way valuable to them.
Yeah.
You know, we always think like we want you to deadlift 500 pounds. It's
Yeah.
not about that. It's about him, you know, being able to be in a career for 5 years and earn a living off of it versus, you know,
And maybe you're having him do some stuff in here that like he just otherwise might not get to.
yeah.
He's got sparring and jiu-jitsu and
That's what it's. That's
15 other things
whatever
to do.
they're not doing at their normal,
Right.
5-hour days of training a day is usually what I try
yeah,
to
you
do.
know he's going to go home and crash, and that'll probably be it. He's probably not going to do some of the mobility stuff that you have him doing here, right? So you have to make sure he goes through it here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Podcast goes at a certain time, or you guys do whenever? And then prepare. We're gonna do it now.
You guys probably get most of your conditioning anyway from
Yeah.
you know.
That's what I say. Yeah, it's just like, oh, what should you do for conditioning? I mean, there's sprints and stuff that you can do, but at the end of the day, there's no replacement
Right.
for just going hard in practice, because that's the cardio you need: the grappling, to the striking, to the squeezing, to
Right.
the movement and everything. So, for me, it just makes like, that 20-second burst that I do have in the fight, or the minute burst, or the scramble. It's like it's that much stronger because of what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that much faster. It's that much easier to recover. What we're doing. But at the end of the day, you just got to go hard in practice. And train hard.
You guys,
to get that
now
cardio.
you probably don't really get blown up, as much in a fight, but when you guys were starting out, like, I always wonder when I watch it on TV, like, what does that feel like to be like completely exhausted, and the other guy trying to punch you in the fucking face?
It depends if
It seems terrifying. You know what I
If
mean?
you're winning that round, then it feels good.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, you
as
got
bad.
some good shots in
But as soon
maybe.
as you get up off the stool, you just feel your legs, and that's like probably the jump roping, which
Right.
it helps the most, is because it just feels like you have nothing left in your legs, and then trying to find that bounce. And the surface on the cage, there's a little sponge, and there's a break in the plywood, so
A little soft.
yeah, so it's a little soft, and it's just like if the guy's fresh too, and you just got your ass whipped for a whole
Yeah.
round, and he looks fresh, you're just kind of like, you got to do something really big in the beginning of the round, or it's going to be another 5 minutes of hell,
Yeah.
So it's tough, but you go through that in a fight. I mean, it's only 15 minutes, but you go through that every
Right.
25 seconds probably, unless you're just completely zoned out. But that's how it is for me. Joseph's a completely different athlete, so.
I don't even worry about it. All right, make these guys do more shit.
All right, these guys almost done. You ready?